It's kind of a really good, nice, gentle class. One of my favorite styles to teach just because everybody needs to slow down a little bit and just feel really good. So we're going to get started. I want you to make yourself comfortable as you're seated. So I invite you to grab a bolster or a block. You can even sit on your blanket to raise your hips up a little bit. I'm going to pick my bolster today. At home, you can sit on the edge of your couch or a big cushion, pillow, anything else. If you have yoga blocks at home, that's great too. I want you to just get comfortable because we're going to do some breathing here. And I don't want you thinking about any discomfort in your body. So even if it means starting in a chair somewhere, that's totally awesome as well. Just going to have you bring hands to knees. I'm going to do a mudra today that we bring our index finger and thumb together. Apply just this gentle pressure and let fingers and palms face down on our knees. Just making that connection with our energy. Then closing our eyes. And as we close our eyes, just noticing right away any tension in our face that can soften or find ease. Anywhere else in your body that feels like it might need to find some softening. Just looking into those joints and your larger muscles here at first. Then I want your awareness to come just to your sit bones. And from your sit bones, I want you to stack those vertebrae so you're sitting up a little bit taller. So we're nice and calm, but still have this energy line coming through our back. It's nice and steady. Once you've kind of made your awareness of your physical body, we're just going to bring that focus to our breath, and without making any changes right now, just noticing how it feels and where its natural state is at. Building that deeper focus into our breath, I want you to sense where you feel that breath enter in through your nose. It slides in your throat. Notice the temperature of that breath. Then let's direct that breath just in and out, only through our nose if that's available to you. Sometimes congestion gets in the way. Not being too attached to that if that happens to you today. It's kind of relaxing into that breath. Noticing your chest. Does it rise and fall with each inhale and exhale? How about that belly? You breathe with that purpose of inflating your belly softly. Letting it deflate with that exhale. Bringing awareness to your back, that low back in particular, as you breathe. In that sensation of even the back being involved in this breath. I'm going to take you through it's an anxiety releasing breath practice. Sometimes yogis call it 2-4-6-8. Sometimes it's called the 4-6-8-2. It just depends on like what pattern and which way you're counting, really. So this breath, sometimes it actually can cause anxiety when you first start practicing it. So I invite you to just kind of observe that if that starts happening, and maybe step away from that breath temporarily and just breathe naturally. And then you could come back to it as you practice it along. It might become more easy and stress releasing. So the numbers are for what our breath counts are. And sometimes we count with 4-6-8-2 because that first inhale is going to take 4 counts. So you'll breathe in through your nose and count to 4. Then hold that breath for 6 counts. And then slowly exhale for 8 counts. And at the bottom of that breath, hold for 2 counts and start that cycle over. So that inhale will be 4. Holding for 6. Slow exhale for 8. Pause for 2. Start that inhale again. 4. Hold. Exhale for 8. Hold for the count of 2. Continue through that breath cycle of 4, 6, 8, and 2. And just noticing along the way if there's a certain spot that is difficult. Challenge yourself a little bit to stay with it and try it for one more round. But then just releasing that set of counts. So I definitely want you to find some ease here. Not being attached to having to execute this perfectly this first time we try it. Knowing that that natural inhale and exhale of your breath is perfect. To find ease as well. So I'm going to give you one more minute to continue with that breath. So you have time. And once you're finished with this cycle that you're on, you can just let your breath become natural again. Just scanning your mind, your body. It's recognizing any places that have ease in them right now. I'm not worrying about those stressed out areas, if there are any. Focusing on that ease and relaxation. What are you doing right now, and what can you feel that's good? What can you sense or smell? Are there any sounds that bring you joy? And as you're ready, we're slowly going to bring hands to our heart, press thumbs into sternum and head bows. Let's keep that chin tucked into chest. Just as we move today, we'll move with ease and some gentleness, paying particular attention to those good things that we feel, because we tend to skip over those most days, right? We're so focused on stress and those things that come at us or things we feel that aren't good. Just finding these next 45 minutes or so of class to focus on those good things that you feel and that ease that you find. Bringing hands up to forehead, pressing thumbs into forehead and sealing that intention in. Finding that good and finding that ease. All right, so if you're comfortable with legs being crossed right now, you can keep them crossed. If it feels better for you to extend them straight out in front of you, go ahead and do that as well. Just gonna bring fingertips down along our sides. And then inhale, take that right hand up overhead, lean to that left side into the palm, find that side stretch. So let's play with that shoulder a little bit. We're gonna look down at the floor and round shoulder forward. And then look upward underneath that right bicep. Do that a couple more times, just looking to open up the shoulders and open up that heart area as well. So just back and forth. And you're going to slide both hands up overhead, sit up nice and tall, and right hand is going to come down. Take that same thing on the other side, pressing right palm towards the ground. Again, tucking shoulder, looking down at that right hand. And then shifting gaze up underneath left side. Just thread back and forth here. And let's inhale, reach both hands up overhead. And exhale, take arms out to goalpost. Then gaze up between hands, draw shoulder blades together. Taking a slight back stretch here. Arching and lifting chest up towards the sky. Reach hands up overhead. Finding a twist now. Left hand goes in front, right hand goes behind you. Look to that right side. Sit up a little taller here. Look over back shoulder. And stay twisted, just shift gaze to look over left shoulder. And bring that gaze backwards behind you. And then inhale, reach hands up to center. And exhale, let's twist the opposite direction. And look behind you over left shoulder. Sit up a little taller. And look over to the right shoulder. And look over to the left. Inhale, arms come back to center. Exhale, hands down by our sides. Let's transition onto hands and knees. And slide any props, just put them aside for now. So once on hands and knees, we're going to take ourselves through cat-cows. And we're going to do about 10 of them total. So again, just do these with ease and nothing too hurried. Just going to inhale, drop belly, gaze up. On that exhale, round spine, push the earth away, push the tops of your feet down towards the ground. Again, just continue those. Each inhale is going to drop belly, gaze up. And each exhale, round spine, push the earth away. Continue those breaths, and you can feel free to add any additional movements that feel good, rocking side to side or rolling shoulders out. And use this to create some ease in that spine and think about all those vertebrae and how they move. Just letting them work together to create these shapes in your back. All right, then let's come back to that flat back here. Do you have that pillow handy or bolster handy? It's going to take puppy pose and let it be supported this evening. So we're going to walk those hands out in front of us and lie chest down onto the bolster. Let's turn head to the right. So that left ear is on the mat. Tailbone stays stacked up over knees. And let elbows bend and be supportive on the ground. I say babies often sleep like this with their I would say just be like a baby. They're nice and limber and can move. Not too many cares in the world. It's going to have you shift and look to the left. So that right ear is going to be on the mat. All right. Let's come back up off of that bolster, set it aside. And if you have blocks available, let's grab those blocks. Bring them to the top of your mat. And we're going to use those blocks today just as an extension of our hands. If you don't have them, that's okay. But just bringing that floor a little bit closer to us to let us move with some gentleness. We're going to step that right foot forward into a lunge. Let hands be on the blocks and just shift forward and back in order to create some space in those hips, and maybe that hamstring kind of bends and straightens a little bit, or flexes and extends. Finding a twist. We're going to take left hand and keep that on the block. Right hand is opening up towards the sky. If you feel tippy at all, step that left block out a little bit wider. You don't want to worry about tipping over here during this practice. Gaze up at your hand and then make a rainbow shape with that arm. You're going to reach forward in front of you and reach back behind you. Do that a couple more times, just reaching forward and back, forward and back. This time when you circle that arm forward, I want you to reach through underneath that left arm and just reach for left hip. Tuck chin into chest here. Then bring hand back to that block. Shift forward and back a couple more times. Always pay attention if you're holding your breath at all. Just taking some nice gentle inhales and exhales as you move. Now we're going to walk those blocks back a little closer to us and start to straighten right leg. Let those toes flex up towards the sky or pull them towards your knee. This time, swing hips right to left. Folding forward over that hamstring or over that right leg any bit. Help deepen this stretch. But again, not worrying about how tight we feel. Just find some goodness in this. What feels good as you move? Sometimes it's just coming back to that appreciation for taking this time for ourselves. Not worrying about those things going on in the physical body. All right, from here too, we're gonna find a twist. So left hand stays down on that block and open up right hand towards the sky. And always feel free to step that block out a little bit wider under that supporting hand. Circle that arm in the rainbow motion that we did before. Notice any difference that you feel through that leg, just some subtle differences. That difference between keeping that knee bent or straightening it. All right, next time you come forward, we're gonna circle that arm around and reach for left hip again. Tuck chin into chest, fold forward. And then bring hand back to that right block. Let's step that foot back into tabletop. Just gonna switch sides, so step forward with the left. And find those hinging motions in knee and hip. Going forward and back. See, it never hurts if your knee bothers you when you do this at all to grab that blanket or grab a thin pillow or towel, put it underneath your knee. All right, this time putting that weight into the right hand. Let's lean forward so that knee is stacked over our ankle. Let's open up into your twist. Gaze up at that hand towards the sky. Find a deep inhale. And on that exhale, start to move that arm forward and back. And just creating that movement in your shoulder. Next time you're forward, reach through and underneath to that right side. Tuck chin into chest. Fold forward. Remembering to take an inhale here. And slow, steady exhale. Bring left hand back to block. This time straighten left leg, draw toes back towards you as you walk those blocks just towards you any bit to be supportive. Slide hips right to left. Be rocking on that front heel a little bit, looking to kind of thread around those hamstrings. You can hinge forward any bit more to increase that stretch sensation. And pausing at center, right hand stays on that block, left hand opens up towards the sky. Gaze up. Deep breath in. And on that exhale, move that arm forward and back. Next time that arm is forward, reach through to left or to right side rather. Tuck chin into chest. Bow forward any bit more. All right, release those hands to blocks, come back into tabletop. This time setting up and going into child's pose. So you can set those blocks aside. Take knees mat width apart, big toes together. Sit back on heels and bring forehead down to mat. So if you have a lot of space between heels and your butt, I want you to grab that bolster or pillow. You might just put it on top of your heels. You can even put a block or anything. Just sit back. Let this be a little bit more gentle for you, where you can relax down into this stretch of child's pose. Just let your forehead rest on the mat. Trying to get your nose down to the mat as well, so that that third eye area meets the ground. If it doesn't quite yet, you can stack hands underneath forehead. Keeping that for about 30 more seconds. Just feel nice and settled. Try to let go of any gripping. Being able to recognize where that stress is, and instead of letting it stress us out more, just breathing into it and moving on. And then as you're ready, let's make our way back up to tabletop. I'm going to set up for down dog. So down dog is just up, taking that V shape with hips. So tucking those toes, lifting up. If this is kind of too extreme, then you can come back to that puppy pose that we took earlier. To bring a little bit more gentleness to that pose. Feel free to pedal out feet in down dog. Let that head relax. Don't let the neck hold tension. Kind of letting it be free. Articulating through the bottoms of your feet here, all the way into your toes. And I know Lori always teaches that reflexology stretch in the bottom of your feet. So instead of taking that today, we're just going to pedal those feet out. Really articulate through arches. You stretch out each one of your toes on the back side. And then just step that right foot forward so that you're in a lunge. You might have to grab that ankle and just bring it back up to the top of your mat. We're going to keep left knee down on the ground. All right, inhale, sweep both hands up high. And lean forward, hinge into this low crescent lunge. So you're stretching out that left hip flexor and arch that back. If you can, looking up towards the sky, pinkies slightly turn in towards each other. Come back upright, hands go to that right thigh and hinge forward again, deeper into that stretch. So I want you dropping this left hip down enough so that you can really feel that stretch through hip flexors here. And then we're going to take that left foot and shift it to 90 degrees. So it's actually off your mat and moving to this inner thigh stretch here. So leaning forward into that inner thigh stretch. Again, great time to grab a block if you have it available, if that floor is a little too far away, or if you feel imbalanced at all. And come back upright. So hips are directly over that left knee. And bring that left hand down to left leg. Take a stretch. So right side body is stretching here. Come back upright. Bring hands around that front foot and just adjust that back foot so it's pointing straight behind you again. And lift up off of that knee for crescent lunge. Then inhale, reach hands out and up overhead. Finding a little balance here. If you're imbalanced, find yourself really shaky, take those feet wider apart on your mat. So instead of shoulder width apart, there may be an extra footprint apart. All right, opening up to warrior two. We're gonna drop that back foot down. Got this nice bend in front knee. When I look down, I've got heel to arch alignment. So that front heel draws a line straight through that left leg. Look forward, then flip palm, find reverse warrior. Stretch through that right side again. Cartwheel hands down to the mat, into that lunge, and step back to your down dog. So you can lower down to that knee, go through tabletop, whatever you need to do to get to that down dog. Let's step forward with left foot. And sweep hands up. Stay down on that right knee, and we're gonna hinge forward to take that hip flexor stretch. Lean backwards, opening up your heart. Again, sometimes those hands overhead feel really intense, so you can always just rest hands on your thighs. All right, everyone brings hands to thighs and take that deeper stretch here. Then you're gonna take that right leg, kickstand off that foot, 90 degrees off your mat. Find that here. Again, hinge forward, take that inner thigh stretch. Let right hand slide down the back and side stretch. Bring those hands back down to the floor around front foot. Adjust that back foot so it's straightened out behind you, excuse me, and come up to that lunge off of your knee. Maybe sink a little bit lower into that bent knee and then dropping foot down, that right foot down parallel with the back of your mat, opening up to warrior two. Flip that front palm, reverse warrior, stretching through left side. Bring those hands down around front foot. Stepping back to down dog. And you can feel free to pedal out your feet here if you would rather hold a static stretch, drawing those heels down to the ground. All right, lowering down to those knees. I'm gonna thread the needle with our arms and take a stretch that way. So left hand is gonna stay down, right hand is gonna open up. Roll wrist out a couple times, and then take right arm, bring it underneath left. Right ear is gonna come down to the ground. So keep those hips up high here, and you can play with shifting hips right to left, shifting that weight right to left in your knees. See how that feels in this stretch. You can also take that right hand and flip it palm face down. And bringing left hand back underneath shoulder, take right arm up and open. Exhale, hand down to the mat. Let's switch sides. Left hand reaches out and up. On that exhale, thread needle to that right side. Find that right to left shift in hips or knees. If you can kind of find some ease in this. I want you to be stretching, but from an easy place. And let's come up and out of that inhale. Take left arm high. Exhale back down to tabletop. All right, we're going to switch around to seated spot on our mats. Our first pose that we're going to do from seated here towards the end and hold is a forward fold. So I'm going to grab my bolster. You can even grab a block, grab a pillow at home, anything to help support you in a forward fold. So first and foremost, if you want to put something under your knees, if your mobility in a forward fold isn't that great, we're not going to worry about it. Going to put something under our knees and fold into your lap. You can use multiple pillows, anything that you want. Knees don't have to be straight here. We're just going to forward fold. So option, if you have better flexibility in those hamstrings, you can take that bolster or pillow, just fold over and hang out there. Kind of just make your choice. If anybody in the studio here wants an extra bolster for underneath their knees and one on their lap, let me know. We got lots of them, so. Can also take that block and put it underneath the bolster on your lap to get a little bit more height. Yeah. I would say try to get your chin or forehead resting, maybe the side of your ear resting on something so that the neck releases and those shoulders kind of find some ease as well. We're folded over here, that diaphragm is a little bit more constricted, so breathing might be a little bit more difficult, but let's be intentional with those slow inhales and exhales. And if you are able to, you can play with those 2, 4, 6, 8 breaths here. So we're going to stay for about 3 more minutes. So make yourself really comfortable, find any other adjustments. But also feel like if you need to make an adjustment along the way here, feel free to do so. So be aware of things as they come up. As we find stillness in our movements, sometimes our minds like to race around and think of all sorts of stuff. So if that happens to you, just don't think about one thing for too long. Maybe directing that focus back to your breath. Our minds are wanderers. That's their natural state. So again, not being too attached if that happens, just letting it go and refocusing on that breath in your practice. Just one more minute here. We're slowly gonna slide up off of that bolster or pillows. Place hands behind you at an angle. Lean backwards. Let that spine relax. Release. We gaze upward. A little counter pose here to that fold. All right, making our way next into supported twists. So again, in the studio, we'll grab our blocks and bolster. You can also start to grab that blanket if you are chilled at all to lay on top of you. You're gonna make that little ramp that we make at any height. You can use medium and tall height of the blocks. And you're gonna take left hip and slide it up against that bolster. Let's stack knees today. So they're just about 90 degrees in front of you. Lie down on that side. You're gonna go for this twist in your belly to lie chest flat on the bolster. An option to take whichever ear on the bolster that feels good for you. At home, just get nice and comfy on your side. You don't even need to do this with this supported angle. You can just put something underneath your head and lie on your side with flat on the floor. And I invite you to come to that breath. Those counts. We just appreciating that fact that we've taken this slowness in our day, realizing its value. If your head is facing one direction, if you want to turn it the other direction, feel free. Your body stays right where it's at. Let's turn this off here. You guys, as you're ready, you can just gently flip over to the other direction. And knees stacked. The feet don't have to be stacked. They can just kind of fall off each other. And taking that gaze whichever direction you like. And taking a moment to recognize that intentional slowness or pause in these poses are different than lying down at night and going to sleep. This is a purposeful break for your mind and body, where we are still alert, just a little bit more carefree. We have this space to kind of be who we are in this moment and not having to make changes. We come into those breath counts. If those aren't working for you, just noticing those inhales and exhales. And you can shift that gaze. So the next pose we switch to is going to be the pose that we stay in for the rest of class. So there is about 5 minutes left. You can take whatever pose you wish. I'm going to cue one with the bolster underneath our legs, lying flat on our backs. You're more than welcome to keep the little ramp for your bolsters right where it's at and just lie backwards on the bolster so that your upper body is elevated. But let's get those blocks out of the way. So I also, for my resting pose at the end, I like to find a bind for my legs because it's going to help your belly relax and your low back relax as well. So I take my yoga strap and wrap it around my thighs and just tighten it like a belt. Totally optional. And I let those knees come together. So bolster under feet, and grab a blanket, cover up, or put it underneath your head. Lying on your back and palms face upward, about a 45-degree angle. Any final adjustments to make yourself comfortable? If anyone needs anything in the studio, an additional blanket or anything, let me know. At home, maybe your dog wants to go get you a drink of water or something. Let's make yourself comfortable here. And if that mind wanders, just come to your breath. Just appreciate this pause and this stillness in these moments as you release tension from your eyes and your cheeks. That tongue is pressing to the roof of your mouth. Let it release down towards the bed of your mouth. That chest area, that heart area, just be free to inflate and move as you breathe. Likewise with your belly. If you chose a support like a bolster or pillow, just recognizing that support that's there for you. Maybe it's just the floor beneath you. You're more than welcome to stay right where you are for a few extra moments. Start to find some subtle movements as you wiggle toes and fingers. Just when you're ready, you'll start to move those props out of the way. As you're ready, joining us in a seated spot. Again, just taking your time though. Just letting hands rest on your knees. Find that mudra one more time where thumb presses into index finger. Let your eyes be closed and put a little bit firmer pressure between fingers here for a moment. You'll take a deep inhale. And with that exhale, release that firm pressure. Just let palms rest on your knees. Draw hands to heart, head bows. Yes, thanks so much for joining me this evening for our gentle yoga practice. I hope you feel amazing and enjoyed your pause in your evening. Namaste.